Hey, good afternoon, everyone. How are you?
Baruch Hashem.
Very
How
good.
are
All
you?
right. Baruch Hashem, doing well.
Hashem, Rabbi.
Very good. Now, of course, tonight is Hanukkah. So just before we start, just a few quick things just to bear in mind. So we want to light...
Many candle lightings.
Yes. So we ideally want to light around nightfall, when 3 stars come out, but that's the time that Shabbos ends. A little bit earlier can be, but if you go to functions, it might be a little bit later, the candle lightings. But we need to make sure that we have large enough candles or enough oil that the candles will last for half an hour after nightfall. Right, so it's actually a bit challenging sometimes. Some of the Hanukkah candles they sell really only last exactly half an hour, and sometimes they drop less. But then, if they're too close to each other, they melt each other. Right, and then it doesn't last half an hour. It's just something to bear in mind. Women have a custom that for that half an hour of minimal is burning, not to do any work. So no housework, no laundry, nothing like that. Right, the decrees were far worse for the ladies. The Greek governors had a terrible decree that the wedding night, the bride had to go to them rather than to the husband. And so therefore the being saved was a much greater, it was much greater for the ladies being saved from that terrible decree. So therefore, ladies have, for ladies, a bigger holiday, being saved from those terrible things. So they're probably the main things to remember. And just a reminder, we place the candles right to left. Start on the right side, but as we add new candles, we end up lighting the new candle first. So we end up lighting left to right. That's just or the right to left and left to right, just to make everyone confused. I think the easiest way to remember is just we start putting them in the menorah from the right, and we always light the new candle first. Okay, does anyone have any questions on Hanukkah? No? Okay. Tonight, of course, there's 3 blessings. We got the...
How many latkes can you eat?
They didn't invent a number large enough. Only if they're good ones, though. Only if they're good ones. Have to be good ones. Okay, that's how we go. Baruch Hashem. All right. So unless there's a question on Hanukkah, someone has a question, we'll get into our Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the abridged code of Jewish law. We're doing chapter 100. And we are up to I think we're in the middle of 18 last time. Yud Ches.
Rabbi, you want to give us like a 1-minute takeaway of a thought for Hanukkah?
Okay. If I'm going to get started, it won't be 1 minute, but I'll say it anyway. The Hanukkah, the incredible thing about Hanukkah is a time that ordinary people did extraordinary things. Right. So, for an example, they made a decree that you had to carve into the horn of your ox. Right. Everyone had an ox. That was your car. That was your vehicle, as well as your tractor and everything else. But that's what you slapped your things on. To carve into it that you don't have a share in the God of Israel. And people could have carved it, and everyone knows you didn't mean it. It was just the Greeks forcing you. But people couldn't bring themselves to do it. So they shechted the oxen. Imagine this would be like we got a decree today that we will put a car magnet or have to scratch into the side of our car that we don't have a share in the God of Israel. So everyone gets rid of their cars. Look, there's some places you live, in Brooklyn, New York, you've got a good subway system. You don't really need a car, but most places where you live, it's incredibly inconvenient not to have a vehicle. Then the next decree was you should carve into the front door of your house that you don't have a share in the God of Israel. And people didn't want to do that, so they took off their front doors. Right? Again, can you imagine? So you've got rid of your car, and then you can take the front door off your house. It doesn't make life comfortable. Not safety-wise, not weather-wise, not protecting your property, your belongings. So this is what happened. And even the battle, I mean, when it got to a point where they felt that they had no choice but to fight because they've been forced to serve idols and different things, they never expected to win. It was just, we can't allow ourselves to be forced to do these terrible things. So we'll do whatever we can. So people were willing to essentially give up their lives to avoid worshiping idols and different things. And so this one was saying was, and who was it? It wasn't like the army. It was your regular ma and pa. With just farmers, totally untrained. So it was really ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And their Mesiras Nefesh, their self-sacrifice, this is what created this miracle, well, the ability for this miracle to come into the world, that this oil just kept burning. And I think if we're going to take a takeaway, it's exactly that. Often we have circumstances in life and we think, who am I? I'm not a spiritual giant. I'm not a tzaddik necessarily. I'm not a rabbi. How am I going to do these things? And what we have to understand is that when ordinary people take that effort to do something extraordinary, that's when the greatest blessings and miracles come into the world. Incredible thing. There's a video going around. Maybe you've seen it going around this year. Last year went around. Excuse me. There was a Hatzalah was called to a house one night of Hanukkah, and there was a older lady. Anyway, they stabilized her. Baruch Hashem, she was okay. They taken to hospital anyway with some checkups, but now once she stabilized and they're taking her, the husband, he asked them, can he light menorah for her before they go? And Baruch Hashem, she's out of danger, so he lights menorah, and they noticed that this family, they had this very large silver menorah, and next to it was a little potato with been hollowed out, and there was some oil in a wick, and their son or grandson, I don't recall now, was there as well. And the Hatzalah member, he asked the son, said, "What's that about?" And he explained that this fellow, his father, grandfather, I'm not sure the gentleman in the house, when he was a child, he was born in Germany. His family lived in Germany for several hundred years, and they had to go on the run. Nazis took over. It was Kristallnacht, and they went on the run. And on the run, they weren't able to take their belongings, different things, and they didn't have a menorah, and they didn't really have funds and different things. But each year they managed, wherever they were on the run, they managed to carve out a grapefruit or a potato, and they lit a candle, and that was their menorah. This gentleman's mother, who since passed away, I'm not even sure from the video if she survived the war, but she didn't want to let a mitzvah go. She has the opportunity to do this mitzvah. And so every year, as well as his menorah, he lights this carved out potato as a remembrance, and to show his children, try and impress upon his children that even under the most difficult situations, they still find a way to do a mitzvah. And this Hatzalah fellow was really taken aback, and he asked, could he take a picture? He snapped a few photos, and he sent it to some friends, and it went viral. Right, from that they made a video, and there was a whole. So that's So again, that idea, ordinary people doing something extraordinary, just beyond the call of duty. So Hashem should bless us that we should only have smooth times, no rough times, but we should have, it's we should have that strength regardless. God willing. All right. So Yudches number 18. Siba Shekulum Kahanim. So I think we started discussing this. We have a congregation where they're all Kahanim. Right? No Levi, no Levim, no Yisraelim, no regular, just all Kahanim. Im ein sham elasara. Now, if there's only 10 of them, so what do? Kulam oilam leduchim. Every one of them goes up to bless. Now, lamim avarchim. So who do they bless? Because they're all there. They're all blessing. There's no one left in the congregation. So who are they blessing? The Chaychem Shabasadis. They're blessing their brothers in the fields. Okay, obviously it's Yom Tov we're speaking about, so they're not working in the fields, but in other words, it means countryside. People who aren't able to be there. So you can actually see the power of the Kahanim, that you can even bless people who aren't there. And who answers Amen? Noshim Vataf, the wives, the women, and the children. But Phil ain't Noshim Vataf, and even if it happens to be there's no women and children there, Anias Amen ain't Makebis. The Amen does not hold back the blessing from being effective. It's not an obstacle to its power, to it being potent. Now that's if there's only exactly 10. Vim yesh yoysa masara. Now if there's more than 10, sar masara yalo duchen. So what happens is the excess of 10 go up to duchen. So let's say there was 13, so 3 people go up to duchen. The sar yishala amas amin, and then 10 people remain in the congregation, even though they're all kahanim, and they answer amen. So I'm not showing you people that there is some island somewhere. Was that till the war had nearly, it was like all kahanim, and they had a tradition that they had as people escaped the destruction of the Beis Mikdash. It was like a coastal area, somewhere in the Mediterranean, where there was a place just kahanim lived there. So I guess this was a regular halacha for them. Yud Tes, number 19. Kain Shenoses Kapov. This Kain, he's already blessed. He went to Shul, he blessed his congregation. And afterwards goes to another Shul. His cousin's making a Kiddush, and he goes there for pop in, and they're still at Musaf. Now, Im writes, if he wants, he can go up and he can bless again. Vim Eina writes, if he doesn't want to, doesn't feel up to it, he's worn out. Then, even though he hears them call out, call the Kanim up, he's not obligated to go up. Because he's already done. So he has an obligation once per day. If he wants to, he can, and it's obviously very nice, especially if you go to a place where there's no Kanim.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What does it mean? It means he started the blessing.
No, it means literally means he picked up his hands. In other words, he did the blessing already. He did it in one shul. He finished.
Oh, he did it in another shul. So
yeah,
now
now he goes to another shul afterwards. Okay. That's why I just made up a case. He went to his cousin's kiddush, and that's what happened. Okay, number 20. Chof. Mish yesh lo mum b'fonov. There's a coin. Yeah.
A question on the one you just finished. So even though he hears them call Kohanim, he's already said it in the other shul, so he doesn't have to, if he doesn't desire. But what if there's no Kohanim? Then I guess he would have.
Well, look, if there was no Kohanim, they probably wouldn't call out Kohanim because, this guest just walked in the back and they wouldn't even know. I'm not sure he personally is obligated because he's done it already, but it obviously would be the appropriate. It would be the menschlich thing to do, and to help out this congregation as another coin.
So they don't call out Kohanim with a question mark at the end.
Is there a Kohen in the house? We've done that by Kriyas Torah. There's been a time. Get up there, make the announcement. There's a Kohen in the house or a Levi. For some reason, there should be many more Leviim than Kohanim, but it seems to be in the world there's many more Kohanim than Leviim. So usually is there a Levi in the house? But, that's how it goes.
Well, the old joke about the guy who always wanted to be a Kohen. Where's he going to go? Everybody knows he's not a Kohen, so he goes traveling someplace where he's not known, and this way he figures he'll act out as a Kohen. So he gets to the shul, the Gabbai comes over, and he says, I'm a Kohen. He goes, well, do me a favor, if you could step outside, because we have a bar mitzvah, and we need all the aliyahs we can get. So
that's it. That's what he deserves. All right. So someone has a mum. He has a some type of blemish on his face. So the same in our countries, in Ashkenazi countries, in the Hagim the Kanim Shalshim Estalisim up a name, where the Kanim have a custom, they have the talis over the face when they bless. The mutter this is kapov. Then he's allowed to go up and bless the people. Right? Because what's avol mish yesh lo mum biyado, but if he has a mum, he has some type of blemish on his hands, he's got 17 fingers or something. Or Kigoyin, for example, shehain baknios, he has a white lesion. Right? So knios, it says in the brackets, pirish min negel lovan, some type of white lesion. Min the morris, min the kudos dakos, Hashem kumos, so he's got speckled and spot, it's or it's bent, so it's deformed. Or she'en yachol l'chalachas b'oisav, or he's not able to separate his fingers the way they're meant to. Lo yisos kapov, then he shouldn't go up to bless. Why? Because what's going to happen is that people are going to stare at him. They're going to look at him and become distracted. They're going to. It's going to become the center of attention. Now, if he's well known in his town, he's lived there for at least 30 days. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows this guy. He's the guy with the, and they're talking about living there for 30 days, but, let's make it simpler. People often in the past, they grew up in the shtetl and they spent their life in the same little shtetl. So everyone knew he's the guy with the funny hand. And everyone stopped staring at him 35 years ago. Not that people should stare, it's not polite, but unfortunately, that's sometimes human nature. The nicest cup of, then he can, because it's not going to be a distraction. Now, if his hands were dyed, right, that was his. Let's say he had a job. His job was, he dyed materials, and so he's got bright red hands. Or you've met my son, the Sefer, gave you the talk. Often, Seifrim have black all over their hands, right? That's part of the, especially they've been painting film boxes and different things. Then lo yisas kapov, they shouldn't bless. Again, because it's going to distract people's attention. People are going to be looking at the guy with green hands. And they're going to be thinking about, how did he get green hands? And they're not going to be thinking about the blessing. But let's say the majority of the town have this profession. This happens to be a town where they're known, the industry there, it's the shmata trade, right? And they're all dyeing clothes, and this guy has green hands, another one has pink hands, another one has whatever. That's how people are in that town. Then he says Kopov, then he can, because it's not going to distract anyone. Everyone's used to it. Okay. Misha Eino Yudei Lachtlich Oisis Hativ. Someone who doesn't know how to pronounce his letters properly. So Koden Shin Yominis Kamoi Somalis. So for example, instead of a shin, he says a sin. Lo uses Kopov. He shouldn't duchen, because he's going to say the words wrong. Right? If he has some type of speech impediment that's going to cause him to say the blessing inaccurately. Imloi shekol akal. Okay. Now, if that's unless everyone else pronounces like that, right? If the whole town it has same issue, then it's not so much a problem, because again, it's not going to distract. Chol coin she'ena noises kapov. Now, any coin who, for whatever reason, is not going to bless, yotze koydem l'tzeim min habeis knesses l'chutz. He should leave the shul before that blessing, right? And the blessing before that, ad shkimro nesis kapayim, and stay outside until they have finished the blessing. Okay, so these are different things, and again, not thinking any less of the people who are disqualified for these reasons. A lot of these things is not anyone's fault, but it's going to be counterproductive. Okay, but 21, slightly different case. Harog es nefesh b'mezid. If a kohen killed someone on purpose, right? Now, just while we're speaking about this, one of the things we find about Pinchas, it's very off the topic, but Pinchas, Aaron's grandson. So what had happened was Aaron and his sons became Kohanim, and then from then on, any child born to that family was a Kohen. But Pinchas was already born. So he wasn't made a Kohen at the initial time, and he didn't get born afterwards automatically a Kohen. So he was like sort of left in no man's land. And he really wanted to be a Kohen. That was his dream. And when it came to the situation where you had this person publicly behaving immorally in front of the entire people and rebelling against Moshe and the whole thing, and Pinchas acted and he killed that individual, as much as that was the right thing, but for him, a Kohen who's killed someone can't serve normally. So he not only he did what he did, but in his mind he was giving up his life's dream. And because he was willing to give up his life's dream, that's why Hashem made him a Kohen. So just a side point that helps us sort of understand this, puts it in the context. Yeah, David.
If he had been made a Kohen the day before, he might not have been able to kill people. Because he'd been a Kohen, and he couldn't make himself tummy with people that are going to be dead in a couple minutes.
Possibly the same way he had self-sacrifice to give up his dream or become a Kohen to do that, he may have forfeited other things. It's we can't answer theoretical, but it could be that halacha would counteract. It's possible.
I'm just thinking that Hashem made it so he was able to do what he did.
Okay.
By making him a Kohen the next day.
Yeah.
Rather than the previous day.
But the greatness of Pinchas really is, there's some people think it's because he risked his life. There's a lot of people who will risk their life for what they believe. But even scarier is to keep living having lost everything you dreamed of. And he was willing to do that. He was willing to give up his entire ambition of his life because of what was right. And that's it's a great thing. So if you have someone that's killed someone, you got a problem. If he's killed on purpose, then a filler asa tshuva, even if he's done tshuva, lo yisa is kapov, then he shouldn't go up to duchen. Now the im harag b'shgaga, if he killed by mistake, it was b'shogeg. Mistake is not without getting off the topic, but just there's 4 different levels of killing. Not that we should become an expert in these things, it's
Rabbi?
Yeah.
Wasn't there, because of the Tahara associated with Zimri being killed, that would have automatically put him on a different Madrega, which would allow him to duchen, because he purified the village,
Well,
he
saved everyone. Yeah, he saved
everybody. So that is different from just killing somebody.
It's correct.
It's actually going ahead and elevating the whole kahal, and that's what he did, which would have allowed him to actually continue being a Kohen.
Possibly, but in his mind, he knew he was running the risk, at least, of giving everything up, and he was willing to do that to do the right thing. And that's a big thing, to give up your dreams. But there's different types of killing. Now, not that we want to be experts in killing, but there's something called an oinus. This means totally beyond your control. Right? There's a guy walking down the street, and all of a sudden there was an earthquake, and he flew in the air and he landed on someone, killed him. Right? So there was no negligence. No, he couldn't have done anything different. Totally beyond his control. So there's no degree of responsibility for that whatsoever. Then the shogeg, regular shogeg. Shogeg means there's at least some degree, a small degree of negligence. So the classic case used in the Chumash and the Gemara discusses is the person went wood chopping, and he had an axe handle that was a little bit loose. He either didn't check it or he didn't adjust it, and as he's swinging, it flies off and hits someone. Now, it wasn't close to coming off. It was about to come off. Then that's total negligence. It was. He obviously had no intention to hurt anyone, but the bottom line is he should have checked his tools beforehand. There's a small degree of negligence. So that person, he's the one who goes to the city as a refuge. He has a. That's his kapara. That's how he atones for himself. Then you have shogeg. It's called shogeg korov the mazid. It's accidental, but it's close to on purpose. Let's give an example. Someone speeding 100 miles an hour while they're drunk, down the highway, where we go off a bit, right? So in other words, they didn't intend to run someone over, but their behavior is so dangerous, so ridiculous, that what do you think's going to happen? God forbid. So that person doesn't go to the city refuge. Now you might think, wow, the other guy gets it worse. He has to go to the refuge. In other words, he's not given the opportunity to have that kapara, that spiritual cleanse. Then you have someone who kills on purpose. So obviously, now even in that you can have different levels, right? There can be a killing on purpose that's a mitzvah. So let's say, for an example, you have someone, let's say there's a soldier in the Israeli army, and this terrorist comes and tries to, God forbid, hurt the innocent, and that's what he had to do to save everyone's life. So there's a mitzvah. So we're not really talking about that either, right? Because that you don't have to tshuva for. That's he did the right thing. Similarly, as self-defense. Again, self-defense has to be the minimum force necessary. All these things ideally should be the minimum force necessary. You're allowed to err on the side of caution. If the guy's got a gun, start wanting, well, maybe, so, but what is a reasonable thing? You can't have the 7 foot tall, 500-pound guy with he says, and in his a 2 foot midget attacks him. He says, look, I had no choice but to shoot him 20 times in the head. even though he was unarmed, because I was worried he'd overpower me. You know, it doesn't work that way. It has to be minimum force necessary. But if it's minimum force necessary, then a person doesn't have to do tshuva for that. He might need therapy, because to take a life is a difficult thing, but you don't have to do tshuva. So the type of killing we're speaking over here is a killing that was not warranted. So once someone has killed someone, the Kohen has killed someone, he can't bless the people anymore, even if he's done tshuva. And if it was by mistake, it was a degree of negligence, and then he still shouldn't. But if he's done tshuva for his negligence, then he's allowed to. Okay, we didn't finish it up, but we ran out of time. Any Hanukkah questions before we finish up?
That just keeps happening. Yeah.
But Hanukkah, it certainly does. All right, so we wish everyone a Freilich and Hanukkah, joyous, spiritual uplifting Hanukkah. Yes, Ben.
The last one, it says, what does it say? Halal?
Yeah,
You know,
halal.
say it kapav?
So where do you have that?
The last line in Chav
Yeah, halal means like God forbid. Oh, sorry, halal is a person. We're talking about a person. Is someone if a Kohen marries or has relations with someone that he's not allowed to marry. So, for example, a Kohen can't marry a divorcee.
Okay.
And then they have a child, so that child is a halal. He's not
Oh,
actually.
the child is a halal.
Yeah.
Okay.
He also is while he's married temporarily, but then he will come
Well,
back if he gets
while
divorced.
he's married, it says if he does teshuva,
Well, doing tshuva means he's not married anymore, because if you stay married, then you didn't do tshuva.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we'll finish it tomorrow. We'll go through it all tomorrow. God willing.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you,
happy
Rabbi.
Hanukkah, light well.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Hanukkah.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Freilich and Hanukkah.
Happy
Freilich and
Hanukkah.
everybody.
Don't forget to play dreidel.
Happy Hanukkah, Rabbi.
Don't forget to eat latkes. First
Yeah.
light candles, then eat latkes.
That's it.